Eleanor and I are conjoined twins, our torsos tightly connected. Because separation surgery carried a great risk of death, we lived together for 24 years. Eleanor was beautiful, while I was plain. She had a constant stream of admirers, but she didn't give any of them a second glance. It wasn't until my first face-to-face meeting with my online boyfriend that her expression wavered. After the meeting, things progressed smoothly between my boyfriend and me, and our wedding was imminent. The night before the wedding, we were taken to a private hospital and forcibly underwent separation surgery. When I woke up, the doctor told me that the surgery was extremely difficult, and I had lost my right hand. The wedding, however, proceeded as planned, with the elaborately dressed, fully limbed Eleanor replacing me as the bride. I thought it was all a misunderstanding, and that the fetus in my womb was a bargaining chip, but who knew that the child in this belly was actually his and Eleanor's? My boyfriend gritted his teeth and said, "This is the life I owe Eleanor. Without her, I would have died." It turned out that he mistakenly believed that Eleanor was his savior. I flipped through my contacts and reached out to a former impoverished student I had sponsored. "Can you do Eleanor a favor? How dare you perform the surgery without my consent?" The doctor's expression remained unchanged as he handed me a contract. This surgical consent form was signed in your and Ms. Eleanor's own handwriting. It has legal effect. Looking at the familiar handwriting, I realized that my boyfriend Daniel had deceived me. The prenuptial agreement he coaxed me into signing was actually hiding something. The call to him was immediately cut off. Daniel and Eleanor walked in one after the other. Seeing the two of them, I was consumed with anger and threw the cup on the bedside table at Daniel. Seeing this, Eleanor blocked Daniel, hitting her forehead and falling into Daniel's arms. Her frail appearance was truly pitiful. "Aurora, how long are you going to be willful?" Daniel's eyes were fierce, almost unrecognizable from his previous gentle demeanor. I raised my empty sleeve and choked up. "I've lost my right hand, my lover, my marriage, and you say I'm being willful?" Eleanor repeatedly apologized. "Sister, it's all my fault. If I had died, you wouldn't have lost your right hand." Daniel softly coaxed Eleanor, then said coldly, "All you lost was a hand, while Eleanor almost lost her life. If you hadn't repeatedly delayed the separation surgery, how could Eleanor have become so depressed that she wanted to die?" Eleanor cried, "Daniel, don't say that. I was wrong to try and be a good person." Daniel was so angry that his eyes were bloodshot. "Aurora, Eleanor was willing to become a one-day bride to prevent you from embarrassing yourself. Not only are you not grateful, but you're also here cursing people. Now apologize to Eleanor immediately, or we'll break up right now." Eleanor frowned slightly upon hearing this, and a red booklet accidentally slipped from her body. Before Daniel could pick it up, I snatched it. "Aurora, don't look. 2 years of online dating, 3 years of offline development. I once thought he was my salvation." On the red booklet, their photos were clearly printed. "A one-day bride? Should I call you brother-in-law now?" Daniel seemed to want to explain, but I dodged him. "Aurora, it's not like that. I was trying to save someone too. You don't know the situation back then." I interrupted him. "Enough, get out." Eleanor said in a trembling voice, "I'm sorry, sister. It's just that we're of one mind and fell in love with the same person." With that, she grabbed a shard of glass and suddenly stabbed herself in the chest. This farce ended with me being rushed into the operating room. Eleanor lost too much blood, and was on the verge of death. Ignoring the doctor's objections, Daniel forced me to give Eleanor a blood transfusion. 5 years of relationship turned into nothing. As I regained consciousness, Daniel's conversation with the doctor flowed into my ears. "Mr. Daniel, how should we handle the matter of Miss Aurora's pregnancy?" Daniel pondered for a moment. "Keep it a secret. She's emotionally unstable right now and shouldn't know these things." "But Mr. Daniel, after all, Miss Eleanor is your legal wife." Daniel clicked his tongue. "Don't be nosy. They're conjoined anyway, so it doesn't matter who marries me. Eleanor is beautiful and generous, suitable to be Mrs. Daniel. If it weren't for being able to see Eleanor's face, I wouldn't have slept with Aurora." Anger almost tore my chest apart. On the night of our engagement, I couldn't resist his pleas and gave him my precious first time while Eleanor was drunk. With a trembling hand, I stroked my stomach. If she and the child are missing one, you will all not survive. Eleanor's voice rang out from outside the door. Daniel, sister will be very happy to know that you care about her so much. Daniel pulled Eleanor into his arms, comforting her. Don't say such foolish things, she has to live to be your blood bag. What's more, the child in her belly is your biological son. Eleanor said in surprise. You used my frozen eggs? I suppressed the surging anger. I never thought they would resort to such deceit, borrowing my womb to have children. Daniel caressed Eleanor with pity. Eleanor, this is a life I owe you. Now I've paid you back. I won't forget that you risked your life to save me back then. Laughable. 2 years ago, Daniel was involved in the black market and disappeared. Daniel's family gave up looking for him. It was I who found the key contact in his laptop, spent all my personal savings, and hired professional detectives to finally rescue him. Now it's Eleanor's achievement again? Perhaps it was telepathy, Eleanor asked suspiciously. Is sister awake? Daniel immediately pushed Eleanor away. He tentatively called my name, and breathed a sigh of relief when I didn't react. At this moment, the phone rang abruptly. Daniel frowned. Who is this person? I see him calling Aurora often. Eleanor interrupted him. It's just an impoverished student that Aurora likes to meddle with and sponsor. He's calling to ask for money. It seems they don't know Alexander's real identity yet. Sister, stop pretending. Eleanor pressed on a sensitive spot on my body, and I involuntarily opened my eyes. Daniel's expression began to become unnatural, and he asked in a panic, How much did you hear? Eleanor said coldly, She heard everything. No wonder she's been a conjoined sister for so long. She actually knows my thoughts so well. A strong sense of danger rushed into my heart, and I quickly grabbed the phone. Stop her. Daniel pushed me away violently, and I fell off the bed in a dizzy spell. The sound of children laughing came from the door. Aurora, just this once, I'm begging you. After you give birth to the child, I will live a good life with you. This is what we owe Eleanor. I looked up at him. A hand, isn't that enough? You still want me to bear a child for her? Do you know that I was the one who saved you? Daniel slapped me and cursed. How dare you mention that year? I was in a life or death situation, but you gave up on saving me and were out seducing men, and now you want to steal Eleanor's credit. What if I break the law for her? Even if she wants to kill you, I'll do it. My blood rushed upwards, and I felt a heat between my legs. The nurse screamed loudly, She's bleeding. Eleanor fainted before I did. Daniel immediately abandoned me, who was in pain and bleeding, and carried her to meet the doctor, who rushed over at the sound of the scream. The scene was chaotic, and soon I was the only one left in the large ward. The blood flowing from beneath me increased, and I used my last strength to crawl out of the ward. Daniel suddenly appeared and pulled me up violently. What did you do to Eleanor? Why is her face suddenly ulcerating? A passing nurse supported me flusteredly, saying, Sir, this lady is bleeding. Please don't yell at her. Daniel pushed her away angrily, saying, This is my family matter. It's none of your business. Aurora, what evil scheme did you use? I laughed in anger. I'm still carrying your and Eleanor's child in my belly. Are you sure you want to watch him die? You. His eyes trembled, and he had no choice but to call the doctor and push me into the ward. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Daniel feeding porridge to Eleanor, whose face was covered in bandages. Seeing that I was awake, Eleanor didn't even pretend, and directly threw the bowl of porridge at me. Bitch, you killed my child. Now you've ruined my face. Daniel held Eleanor in his arms with pity and comforted her. Eleanor, you can't get too emotional now. It's not good for your recovery. As long as you want, we can have a second and third child, Eleanor said in a delicate voice. But I'm afraid of the pain. Daniel looked at me coldly. Aurora killed our child, so she naturally has to contribute. How laughable. I laughed until tears came out. It's my body. Why should I let you rats in the gutter trample on it? As soon as I finished speaking, the ward door was pushed open from the outside, and a figure quickly rushed in front of me. Slap. A slap landed on my face, and a few streaks of crimson appeared in my mouth. Dad, your books have gone to the dogs? Who taught you to insult Mr. Daniel and Mrs. Daniel like that? My mother had a ferocious expression and pointed at me, scolding. The Daniel family has given us immense care. What's wrong with letting you have a child? I said tremblingly. Mom, Dad, you clearly know the consequences of the separation surgery. My mother hurriedly covered my mouth. Daniel's phone rang at the right time. He answered impatiently, and his face changed drastically. How could such a big hole appear? He hung up the phone and his eyes fell on me. Aurora, the Charity Star project you signed has a big problem. All the working capital has been frozen. I roared. Bullshit. The Star project is what you used to coax Eleanor. Eleanor retorted, Sister, don't slander people. Weren't you the one who signed the contract in the end? The working capital is frozen, and the Daniel family is facing the risk of bankruptcy. Sister and Daniel have been together for so many years, she wouldn't abandon him like last time, right? Hate overflowed in Daniel's eyes. The end. At this moment, someone tentatively asked, a poverty-stricken student? Could he be the son the Alexander family recognized a year ago? Mr. Lynn's face turned white, and he almost lost his balance. The Alexander family was the top family in the capital circle, wielding power in both legal and illegal realms, possessing countless resources, and were usually the targets of solicitation by everyone present. Alexander didn't refute, his expression indifferent. Alexander had been abducted as a child, and to protect him, the Alexander family hadn't publicly revealed his appearance after finding him. He inadvertently revealed the dark golden patterned black jade on his neck. This jade was priceless. It had been auctioned off by the head of the Alexander family 5 years ago. People might not recognize Alexander, but they certainly recognized this jade. Mr. Lynn bowed repeatedly. My eyes were lacking. I didn't recognize you as the young master of the Alexander family. It was my fault. Please forgive me. The group of people who had just been mocking Alexander were now terrified and apologized one after another. Alexander's gaze passed over them, landing on Eleanor. Everyone understood, and turned their hostility towards Eleanor. That woman just stirred up trouble, saying you were a poor student. Eleanor desperately shook her head. Impossible. This must be Aurora's scheme. You've been tricked. Daniel shielded Eleanor behind him and said coldly, What relationship do you have with Aurora? Alexander walked up to Daniel and said with a faint smile, Aurora is the apple of my eye. Today, for her sake, I will light the sky lanterns. Mr. Daniel, do you have any objections? Trapped in the blind box, my breathing became rapid. It wasn't the first time, and now he was expressing it publicly again. Looking at my empty sleeve, a growing weariness filled my heart. Daniel laughed. What a joke. Aurora is just a cripple, a discarded woman, a woman I slept with and then abandoned, a woman who couldn't even keep her child. Before he could finish, Alexander punched him to the ground. You're not worthy to even touch my sister. If I hear another word disparaging her, you and the Daniel family will disappear. Jealousy crept into Eleanor's eyes as she tried to dissuade him. Mr. Alexander, Aurora is my sister, we're all family. She said softly. Whatever you like about her, I'll only be better. Eleanor's alluring appearance aroused pity in others. Everyone thought Alexander was just momentarily interested in the conjoined sister flowers, and began to clamor. Mr. Alexander, today no one will participate in the auction. Sister flowers are enchanting, life is short, mister. Alexander mustn't let down such beauties. Alexander ignored them, and with a wave of his hand, the organizers ordered all the blind boxes to be opened. In an instant, the beauty on the stage was fully revealed. Alexander headed straight for me. His eyes were a deep red as he hoarsely said, Sister, I'm late. The remaining 9 people, seeing that Alexander was young and handsome, were delighted and immediately surrounded him. But Alexander raised his hand, coldly stopping them from approaching. You are free, go back where you came from. If you are not satisfied, choose from the dignitaries below the stage. With that, Alexander took my hand and went off the stage. Daniel blocked us and said coldly, Aurora, you deliberately found a man to anger me, didn't you? If you dare to leave with him today, we're through. I let go of Alexander's hand, and Daniel said knowingly, You still can't leave me after all. The large screen in the center of the stage suddenly lit up. I took the microphone from the waiter's hand. Almost forgot, Mr. Daniel, I have one last gift for you. As soon as I spoke, the screen started playing a video. The entire conversation between Daniel and the doctor about surrogate pregnancy was played in full. Following that, evidence of Daniel's reckless investments and involvement in gray industries over the years was presented one by one. A wave of murmurs arose from the audience. Everyone knew that the Daniel family relied on attracting investment to maintain its business. If it lost its reputation in the business world, the consequences would be unimaginable. Daniel went crazy, raising his hand to hit me. Alexander kicked him over. Today is the day the Daniel family falls. Daniel roared. Aurora, I'll give you one last chance. Take down the video, tell everyone you photoshopped it, and publicly apologize to me, and I might consider forgiving you. I stopped Alexander and crouched down. A glass of cold water was splashed directly on his face. Does that make you any clearer? Daniel, you've harmed me to this extent, and you still have the nerve to ask me to coax you? It's only my mercy that I haven't killed you. Get lost. Daniel lost face in public, and his complexion turned green. You'll regret this. In an instant, the scene plunged into darkness. Screams erupted from the crowd. Someone deliberately rushed over and separated me from Alexander. A scent entered my nose, and I instantly lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I found myself wearing thin gauze, lying on a bed. Eleanor and Daniel were talking in low voices. I was in an ancient-style boudoir, with a live broadcast screen in front of me. The screen was scrolling frantically with messages. The conjoined sister flowers are having a great time. I heard that the sun the Alexander family recognized last year lit the sky lanterns for his sister. Now that he knows she's this kind of person, the Alexander family won't be able to accept her either. The dream of marrying into a wealthy family is shattered after all. Could it be that she was forced? How is that possible? Her parents both said she's a fraudster, not only deceiving the young master of the Alexander family, but also framing her brother-in-law. I wanted to pull the quilt over me to cover myself, but I found myself powerless all over. Hearing the movement, Daniel blocked the camera with his body and grabbed my neck. Slut! You still dream of marrying someone other than me. Your first kiss, your first time, were all mine, and you even got pregnant for me. Who would want a woman who couldn't keep her chastity before marriage? Aren't you concerned about why I married Eleanor instead of you? That's because she's more self-respecting than you. Eleanor hit Daniel's chest and looked at me triumphantly. At this moment, past events surged like a tide. When I met him, he was still an illegitimate child of the Daniel family, living on the streets. He was struggling to maintain his studies by working hard. Two lost people met on the internet and warmed each other. Who would have thought that one day the secrets between a man and a woman would become his means of stepping on me? Seeing that I was silent, he seemed even angrier and took out his phone. Are you still thinking about that rich second generation? You think people still remember that affection you had for each other? He showed me the chat content. He forwarded the intimate photos and sweet words from when I was in love with him to everyone in the Alexander family. I laughed in anger. Are you so afraid of me marrying Alexander? Deliberately cutting off my escape route. Daniel's expression was a little unnatural. Don't overthink it. I just don't want them to be deceived by someone like you. Eleanor tidied my thin gauze and pushed Daniel out of the camera. Don't say any more, there are still many netizens waiting to see the beauty on the bed. I suddenly became anxious and coughed violently, and the things I spat out had blood streaks. Please help me call the police, they drugged me and restricted my movement. As soon as I spoke, my parents rushed in and explained to the camera. Please forgive us. My daughter's mental condition hasn't been good recently, so we won't take up police resources. My mother took out a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Then I ended the broadcast immediately. My father warned sternly. You are such an ungrateful child. You almost ruined the Daniel family. I looked up at them. Was it you who cut the power at the venue and played tricks? You're willing to sacrifice me for the Daniel family? My mother hung her head, but my father slapped me. Your parents gave birth to you and raised you. How could we possibly harm you? You, Eleanor, are now married into the Daniel family, and the Daniel family has also paid off our debts. Have you considered our feelings when you tried to harm the Daniel family? A year ago, my father became addicted to gambling, spiraling out of control and accumulating huge debts. And the person who introduced him to gambling was none other than Daniel. I looked at Eleanor watching the show from the sidelines, my heart growing colder. It seemed I was trapped in a hopeless situation. Seeing that I had given up struggling, Daniel said slowly, "As long as you listen to me, I guarantee no one will hurt you again." Eleanor's eyes flashed with jealousy, and she said softly, "Daniel treats my sister so sincerely that I'm moved. The child in heaven would be proud of their father." Daniel was hit where it hurt, his expression darkening. My mother comforted Daniel, "You're still young, you won't have trouble having children, it's just that Eleanor's health is weak." Daniel seemed to have made up his mind. "I will arrange for a doctor to perform the surgery in 3 days. This is a life I owe Eleanor." He looked at the others. "You guys go out first, I have something to say to her." My mother nodded and left with them. Daniel sat on the bed and reached out to touch me, but I dodged him. "Aurora," I said, "we'll give Eleanor a child and we'll start over. This is what we owe her, be obedient." I shook my head. "I don't owe any of you anything. Daniel, I'll tell you one last time. I was the one who saved you a year ago." Hearing this, he smashed the glass on the bedside table, and fragments flew towards my face. "I told you don't mention that again. Aurora, what magic do you possess? Even though you've repeatedly lied to me, deceived me, and let me down, I still want to keep you by my side." He was agitated and even kissed my lips directly. He spat out a mouthful of blood. "You don't know what's good for you. We've slept together countless times. What are you pretending to be a chaste maiden for?" He seemed to think of something and roared. "Did that beast from the Alexander family sleep with you?" Seeing that I ignored him, Daniel stormed out. 3 days later, I was taken to an underground medical facility. Before entering the operating room, I looked at Eleanor. "Eleanor, it's not too late to turn back now." Eleanor said coldly, "Knowing fear now?" She leaned closer to me, her eyes full of hatred. "Sister, this is all your retribution. If it weren't for you, Jay wouldn't have left me. You refused to undergo the splitting surgery for so long, causing me to lose my beloved. Now it's your turn to taste the bitterness of loss." I sighed. "Even now you're still deceiving yourself. Jay left you because he cheated on you." Eleanor slapped me in the face and roared, "Shut up." Seeing this, Daniel hugged Eleanor protectively. "Aurora, are you itching for a beating? Don't let me see you bullying Eleanor again." The scene was so jarring. Who would have thought that just a year ago, he had been so deeply in love, vowing to marry me? I looked at them and asked again, "Are you sure you want to use surrogacy?" My father rushed over, impatient. "Stop talking nonsense. Isn't Eleanor's child your child too? This is a chance for you to redeem yourself. Do you understand?" I stopped talking. They thought I had given up struggling and hurriedly pushed open the operating room door. But waiting for me wasn't a doctor, but the police. Daniel panicked. "How could there be police?" His gaze fell on me. "We confiscated your phone. Was it that Alexander kid again?" I sat up and took a micro-alarm from my scalp. It was custom-made after the splitting surgery when I realized the danger. I didn't expect it to come in handy so quickly. My father was so angry that he lunged at me, but was stopped by the police. "How could I have a daughter like you? You're so cruel to your own family," I said coldly. "That's what I should be saying to you." "Officer, they disregarded the law, kidnapped me, forged psychiatric records, ruined my reputation, and even wanted to do something as dirty as surrogacy. Even if they are family, I will never reconcile." The police nodded, controlled them all, and escorted them to the police station. After giving my statement, Alexander appeared, looking haggard. He ran over and hugged me. "Aurora, I'm late." I gently pushed him away. "It's okay, you've already helped me a lot." Alexander choked. "Can you give me a chance to be by your side?" I shook my head. "Alexander, there's a difference between gratitude and love. The 4 years of sponsorship, you've long paid back." Alexander said dejectedly, "It's always these reasons. I'll prove my feelings to you." "Brother Alexander, is this your sweetheart?" 2 women walked into the police station, looking me up and down with strange eyes. "Auntie Samantha, why are you here?" It seemed these 2 were Alexander's stepmother and adopted sister. The older woman said, "Alexander, you left the banquet without a word. Your father is very unhappy. Her eyes swept over me. Auntie is also reminding you, you just returned to the Alexander family. You haven't even gained a foothold yet, so don't get involved with those unsavory women. Samantha chimed in. That's right, it was hard enough for brother to regain his identity. Some old women shouldn't be sticking to him. Alexander stopped them sternly. Don't say any more. I respect you, so don't push me. Mrs. Alexander ignored him, looked at me and said, I heard you sponsored Alexander for 4 years. How much money? The Alexander family will repay you 10 times over. Just please stay away from Alexander. I looked at her coldly and said calmly, no need. You've misunderstood. We're not that kind of relationship. Alexander stopped me as I went out. Aurora, don't take those words to heart. I stopped and said slowly, was I not clear enough? Then let me make it clearer. There's no possibility between us. Ignoring his attempts to keep me, I hailed a taxi and left. Alexander and I, in the current situation, were worlds apart. A month later, I received a call from the police. My parents were sentenced to 3 years in prison, and Daniel and Eleanor were sentenced to 7 years for participating in the surrogacy. Someone was manipulating public opinion, and I became the culprit, who sent my whole family to prison. The internet was filled with insults directed at me. This woman has so many scenes. Wasn't she live streaming a few days ago? She ruined her whole family. What a jinx. We shouldn't have let this freak be born in the first place. Alexander sent me a message saying he would take care of it. Later, the public opinion gradually subsided. I quit my job, sold my apartment, and went to a city in the south. This life was too tiring. I wanted to start over. I opened a guest house in a quaint town. My greatest pleasure every day was to bask in the sun and read novels in the courtyard. After a year of this peaceful life, I started receiving handwritten letters from Daniel. He said he knew the truth, that he knew I was the one who saved him that year. The words were filled with remorse and apology. The letters were very long, and I had no patience to read them all. Later, I accidentally learned about the news of a marriage alliance in the Alexander enterprise. Alexander was going to marry a wealthy heiress with a military background. Come to think of it, we hadn't been in contact for over half a year. Time in the town was long and quiet. A month later, an elegant woman checked into the guest house. She looked me up and down, almost without saying a word. When she left, she gave me a black card and told me to go abroad and disappear from Alexander's world. We're getting engaged next month. He's the person my grandfather approves of. I don't want anything to go wrong. I asked her, is he the person you approve of, or the person your grandfather approves of? She gripped the handle of her suitcase and said coldly, no need to quibble. In a family marriage, how many people can control their own marriage? Grandpa is the meaning of my life. His preference is my preference. I returned the card to her. Sorry, I can't take this card. I have no intention of disturbing your marriage, and please don't disturb my life. Her eyes turned cold. A subordinate dares to refuse the olive branch thrown by a superior? Eleanor, right? I heard you have a grandmother living in seclusion in the mountains. If she were brought to Beijing and saw her granddaughter sending her son to prison, what would she think? Grandma is one of the few people who loves me, and we have a very good relationship. I gritted my teeth and said, do you have to force me like this? She placed a business card and a black card on the front desk. Sorry, that wasn't my intention. It's just that you provoked someone you shouldn't have. Think it over, give me a call. I'll arrange everything for you. After packing my luggage and handing over the management of the guest house to the hired staff, I took a bus back to my hometown to see my grandmother. After several twists and turns, I finally arrived at my grandmother's residence, but the house was empty. The neighbor said that my grandmother had already been taken away. Could it be that she was taken to Beijing by her? I was shocked, and just as I was about to contact that woman, Alexander's message arrived. He gave me the address of a high-end nursing home. The nursing home was located in a remote area, not far from my grandmother's home. When I arrived, my grandmother was basking in the sun in the yard, and Alexander was chatting with her. Each elderly person in the nursing home had their own small villa with a yard, where they could plant flowers and vegetables. Each household was equipped with a personal nurse for easy care. To enrich the lives of the elderly, The nursing home regularly organized activities. Of course, the cost of nursing care was also unaffordable for ordinary people. Aurora, long time no see. Alexander's gaze was still hot and fiery. I simply greeted him, then squatted down in front of my grandmother. Grandma, why did you run here? Let's go home. Grandma shook her head and said childishly, Aurora, I'm not going back, I want to stay here. The nurse behind her saw this and said, A month ago, Mr. Alexander came to visit Grandma and found her fainted at home. After Grandma woke up, Mr. Alexander sent her here. Grandma is very happy here every day, and her health indicators have improved in all aspects. I stood up and said softly, Thank you, Alexander. I will repay you for the expenses in a timely manner. Alexander didn't reply. Ms. Chin went to find you. You don't have to pay attention to her. I won't marry her. Because of this sentence, I felt a sigh of relief for some reason. I can't control who you marry. Alexander's eyes were a little lost. I have been working hard to break away from the Alexander family this year, and established a company that is entirely my own. I have successfully proven to everyone that I can bring higher benefits than a family marriage. And I only have one request, freedom of marriage. Undeniably, his passion warmed me at this moment. Aurora, can you give me a chance? Let's start as friends. Almost unconsciously, I nodded. He was so happy that he picked me up and spun me around, and Grandma laughed loudly at the sight. After many years, I felt happiness again. I stayed with my grandmother at the nursing home for a week, before I was driven out by my grandmother. She whispered to me that she still had a lot of family heirlooms, told me not to worry about the expenses, and said that Alexander was worthy of entrusting my life to. I returned to the southern town and continued to run the guest house. Unexpectedly, Alexander moved his headquarters here as well, buying an entire street, and euphemistically calling it investment in the cultural tourism industry. He brought a private chef who was good at making snacks and put him directly in the guest house. Many tourists came here, and I gained 10 pounds. I gradually lowered my guard and vacated a sunny room on the second floor for him. Living together day and night, our understanding of each other deepened. He looks sunny and childish, but his temperament is very calm. His care for me is also meticulous. On a moonlit night, tipsy, I asked him if he would regret it. He replaced his answer with a kiss. I was immersed in gentle love, and had already surrendered. 5 years later, Daniel and Eleanor behaved well, and were granted parole and released early. Daniel rushed to my guest house as soon as possible. He wanted to grab my hand, but I dodged it. Aurora, I know I was wrong. I have always loved you. I raised my left hand, the wedding ring on my ring finger shining. I'm married, he said incredulously. Impossible. That poisonous woman Eleanor and I are already divorced. You don't need to say such things to make me angry. Alexander came over upon hearing this, and squeezed my hand tightly. Daniel, haven't you had enough of prison food? Do you want to go back? I warn you, stay away from my wife. Daniel roared. It's really you. I knew you were plotting against Aurora a long time ago. Alexander called security, and asked them to restrict Daniel's entry into this street in the future. Later, I only saw Daniel from a distance. He was picking up trash on the outskirts of the ancient town, living a very embarrassed life. As for Eleanor, she was completely disfigured. Later, I don't know where she hooked up with a rich man who had a fetish for ugly women. After being played with for half a year, she contracted a venereal disease, and the money she earned was not enough to treat the disease. In the end, she developed a mental illness, shouting and screaming on the street, and was sent to a mental hospital. And Alexander and I are still together, guarding our hard-won happiness.